She's still up here. She's still in the military. She's still in the military. Joe, first of all, this is the guy that says you're not a Democrat. I remember this guy who was on the PBD podcast. You are exactly the problem that, listen to me, I want you to keep talking the way that you're talking because of people like you. Hey, excuse me. You know what? Let me finish. Because of people like you, and your rhetoric, you know what's going to happen? J.D. Vance is going to be the president next. Tulsi Gabbard's going to be the president. Eric Trump's going to be the president. We are going to keep having Republican presidents because of people like you.
PBD host Vinny Oshana goes on Piers Morgan's show and absolutely demolishes Joe Walsh, a never Trumper, who absolutely gets destroyed in this video. And things get very heated. This is one of the most heated moments that I have ever seen on a Piers Morgan episode, which is saying a lot because Piers Morgan Uncensored gets heated quite a bit, especially whenever Vinny Oshana from the PBD podcast goes on there. Let's get into this clip here where Vinny almost makes a grown man cry on live TV here on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Of National Intelligence spoke to Jesse Waters at Fox News.
He's already leading. He's already engaging with so many of these world leaders around the world on the phone constantly. And he's showing the kind of leadership that the American people voted for.
Well, joining the panel now is the host of The Social Contract, former Republican presidential candidate and Congressman Joe Walsh, who says that Gabbard is a Putin cheerleader. Well, Joe, welcome back to Uncensored. You think she's a total disaster. Why?
You can't trust her. This country cannot trust her with our intelligence. If I'm one of our allies, there's no way if she's appointed, I'm sharing my intelligence with America. Look, I've said before, she's at best a Putin cheerleader. At worst, she's a Putin asset. For the past decade, she has done nothing but defend Vladimir Putin and parrot Putin and Russian propaganda. Again, there's a list. I could take 30 minutes and go through the list. That's a humongous concern. She's not on our side. She's clearly on Russia's side.
She literally fought for America. She served her country and fought for America. How can you say she's not on our side?
She's still up here. She's still in the military. She's still in the military. Joe, first of all, this is the guy that says you're not a Democrat. I remember this guy who was on the PBD podcast. You are exactly the problem that, listen to me, I want you to keep talking the way that you're talking because of people like you. Hey, excuse me. You know what? Let me finish. Because of people like you, and your rhetoric, you know what's going to happen? J.D. Vance is going to be the president next. Tulsi Gabbard's going to be the president. Eric Trump's going to be the president. We are going to keep having Republican presidents because of people like you.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Still talking Russia shit, Joe. Get over it. It's over. You're talking about an active military girl. She's a lieutenant colonel in the army, and you're saying she's an asset. You're an idiot. Yes. You're an idiot. And people are tired of your bullshit.
Okay, let him respond.
Change the record.
Let him respond, Vinny.
Do me a favor,
Dude, Vinny is so based, man. I absolutely love Vinny. He's probably my favorite on the PBD podcast out of everybody, even including PBD. Like, the guy's just so based on so many different topics. This is one of them. I mean, he's 100% correct. Like, we're still doing this Russian asset stuff. How many times does it need to be debunked that these people aren't Russian assets? It's one thing to claim that Donald Trump is a Russian asset, especially if you fall victim to the media brainwashing and the fake evidence that was planted on him and everything like that, and planted on his surroundings and as well the people who are surrounding him. It's a whole another thing to try and claim that someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who is active in the military, like actively in the military, serving America in the military. Well, and a whole other thing to claim that she is a Russian asset. You think the military is that stupid? Like, that's not just insulting to Tulsi Gabbard. She's decently high ranking in the military, and so that's not just insulting Tulsi. That's insulting the military overall. That they would trust someone like Tulsi to be that high ranking. I think Vinny said she's a lieutenant colonel. I'm not 100% sure what her ranking is, but I know she's pretty high ranking, and that's insulting to the entire military because they trust Tulsi, obviously. Why do you think that you have better information than the actual military who has, obviously Joe Walsh is just brainwashed by the media to dislike people like Tulsi Gabbard and basically just dislike anyone who is liked by Trump or who likes and supports Trump. All these people coming out not just Joe Walsh, but I mean, I've seen Vinny debate a ton of them. All these people coming out against RFK. Guys, RFK agrees with these lefties a whole lot more than he agrees with the right wingers. The only thing that Donald Trump appointed RFK for is for the health and the health and safety and getting rid of the corruption and side of these agencies. I'm trying to dance around certain words here. Getting rid of the corruption inside of these agencies that make the decisions on what Americans can and can't consume. Other than that, Donald Trump has stated in press conference after press conference, RFK will not be touching anything. You know, he keeps saying, Bobby, stay away from my oil, stay away from everything else, the environment, all that's mine. In terms of the food and the medicine that people are allowed to consume in America, go run wild with that and solve all that corruption. Everything else, though, RFK agrees more with left-wingers by far than right-wingers on the abortion topic, on gun control, on so many different things. But they hate him because he is in Donald Trump's cabinet. Same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. It's the Trump effect. All these never-Trumpers, all these idiots like Joe Walsh, they melt down anytime anyone is affiliated with Trump or supports him even a little bit. They lose their minds.
Record, bro.
Instead of attacking me, attack what I said about Tulsi Gabbard. For a decade,
she's a Russian asset.
Done nothing but ferret Putin. Address that. Address
really?
that.
But but Joe, I'll address that.
I'll address that.
Okay, I'm going to come to. Hang on. I'm going to come to Gillian in a second. All I would say, Joe, is I get an email each week from me and Bremner, one of the guys I most respect in the political world. He's very balanced, gives very insightful weekly emails about what's going on in the news. He said he's seen absolutely no evidence that she has ever been anything even approaching a Russian asset. It's a total myth of the Democrat side to suggest she ever has been.
Pierce, you're going to ignore 10 years of what she said?
Well, she's allowed to have she's allowed to have an opinion.
Well, of course she is.
Well, hang on, she's allowed to have an opinion about Ukraine. She can have an opinion about Ukraine.
The Russia-Ukraine war has absolutely destroyed the fact that lefties had this superpower where they could just label someone a Russian asset and it would ruin their political career. The Russia-Ukraine war has absolutely destroyed that ability. They don't have that superpower anymore because people are seeing that the stuff that we have believed growing up, the stuff that we've been told by mainstream media about Russia, a lot of it has been propaganda. I don't think Russia is some amazing, great country to live in, or I don't think Putin is some benevolent leader or anything like that. I just don't think it's nearly as bad as the propaganda that we have been taught in school and in mainstream media has led us to believe. Now people, whenever they're labeled Russian assets, it's not really a death sentence anymore. People are kind of like, well, hey, at least they're not a Ukrainian asset. It's a whole lot better to be a Russian asset than a Ukrainian asset, in my opinion. At least we're not sending, well, we probably are somehow spending our tax dollars in Russia too. But at least we're not sending billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars over to Russia to support them in a war that has nothing to do with us. We're doing that with Ukraine. I'd rather somebody be a Russian asset at this point than a Ukrainian asset.
Oh, of course she is.
You may not agree with that opinion. And by the way, I don't agree with her opinion about Ukraine, but she's allowed to have it. It doesn't make her a Russian asset.
No, Pierce, exactly. She's allowed to have her opinion. Donald Trump has picked her to head up all our intelligence efforts in this country.
Yeah, but there is no evidence that she would be a threat to leaking that intelligence to Russia. It's a myth.
Not at all.
All right, let me go to Gillian.
She's either a dupe or an asset because everything she's done the past 10 years and said has been exactly what Russia would want her to say or do. So she's either an asset or a dupe.
That's the dumbest standard ever. Who cares? If I said Saddam Hussein doesn't have weapons of mass destruction, that might be exactly what Saddam Hussein wants me to say. That doesn't mean anything. You see, Pierce, this is the trick here. And I'm sorry, I know you want to go to Julian, but the trick is that the same way they used to say Trump-Russia collusion, they wouldn't say Donald Trump's in a conspiracy with the Russians. You see, because that's actually meets the criminal code. And then so you just say collusion because what does that even mean? They could have had a phone call. Okay, they're colluding, but that's totally legal. So when you say she's a Russian asset, you give this wink and a nod like she's a traitor. No. When what it means, and Pierce, you disagree with me on this topic too. But listen, the argument is that there were 1 million off-ramps to the war in Ukraine, and that the West chose to not take any of them, and that this war could have been avoided and it could have been negotiated away. Now, the idea that if someone makes this argument, your counter to that is to say that you're you're a Putin asset. This is so, first off, it's just despicable and it's profoundly stupid. It makes absolutely no sense at all. So listen, at least during the original McCarthyism period, at least during the House Committee on American Activities, at least back then, there were some communists. Nobody is loyal to Vladimir Putin. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You're entitled. No, Tulsi Gabbard, of course, is entitled to her opinion as a citizen of this country. But if for 10 years your opinion is identical to Russian propaganda, we are entitled to question that. And some.
Dude, it's crazy how dense these people are. You still believe everything that we've been taught about these foreign countries, especially about the adversaries. Like, obviously, there's bad things about Russia, China, a lot of these places. But, dude, just because somebody agrees with Russia and what they would want doesn't make them a Russian asset. It also doesn't make them an idiot. Maybe, just maybe, let's just entertain this possibility. Maybe it means that what you have been taught is wrong. And maybe you should start questioning what you have been taught. Because maybe what Russia wants, and I'm not saying this is the case, I'm just saying maybe, let's just entertain this hypothetical. Maybe what Russia wants is sometimes just a small percentage of a chance, sometimes the right thing. So every time somebody agrees with Russia and what they want, maybe it doesn't mean that they're a Russian asset, but maybe it means what Americans want on those topics are actually wrong and not beneficial for the country overall. That doesn't even cross these people's minds. It's not even a remote possibility for that to be true. It's, oh, you agree with Russia? You're a Russian asset. Especially when they're on the opposite political side from them, when they support Trump and they're never Trumper and things like that. But it's just wild to me that people have, I mean, we've been brutally lied to by the government, mainstream media, everything. And people are still like, oh, you don't believe the same thing that my government tells me I should believe? You're an asset. You're a Russian asset. You're a spy. Really, dude? Are you an adult? Are you an actual free-thinking adult with that opinion? You're that stupid? There's no way, right? Like, these people don't even, they're not introspective at all. They never think, oh, the government has lied to me over the last 5 years, especially over the last 5 years, but obviously longer than that. And they're still not thinking, what else have they lied to me about? Could Russia maybe not be as bad and evil as I thought? The possibility. I mean, it might be completely wrong. You might go down the rabbit hole and realize, oh, Russia actually is really bad. And we should, anybody who agrees with Russia, we probably shouldn't trust that person. But they don't even go down the rabbit hole to find out. They just think, oh, you agree with Russia? You're an asset. It's wild, man. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Dave Smith and Vinny from the PBD podcast absolutely destroying this woke idiot Joe Walsh. Man, Dave Smith and Vinny really crushing on this episode. Things got really heated, but they did a great job at just absolutely destroying this woke idiot. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Vinny from the PBD podcast, Dave Smith going after this woke, never Trumper idiot, Joe Walsh.